So, my task is probably harder than the others because this is not one of the subjects that everybody is familiar with. Traditional subjects such as history, archaeology, anthropology. So first of all, I have to explain what digital public humanities is and why do we need a program in digital and public humanities. To answer this question, I will start with a medieval copyist, because back in the Middle Ages, this was the best possible way to reproduce a written text. Then technology changed, and then with the change of technology, different jobs were available and different skills were needed for that job. Nowadays, we are at another turning point because technologies are changing once again, and probably the traditional written paper is not the most effective way of reproducing a written text. Now, we would think of digital edition. You would think of web publishing. So once again, there are available different jobs for which you need different skills. That's why we're here. But still we need an explanation about what public and digital humanities are. What is digital humanities? Digital humanities is an area of scholarly activity at the intersection of computing or digital technologies and the discipline of the humanities. But we are not just interested in the digital. We are also interested in the public aspect, whereas the public humanities can be defined as the work of engaging diverse publics reflecting on heritage, traditions, and history, and the relevance of the humanities in cultural life. Why do we think we needed a program in digital and public humanities? Because, as I said, the world is changing, and we also think that changing world, we need a different way of approaching the humanities. There's much talk nowadays about the so-called crisis of the humanities or the decline of the humanities, not just in the society, but also in the university, where number of students are declining, the numbers of teachers, the number of programs are declining. So we don't want to give up the humanities. We want to offer the humanities in a different way. But still, I think it's not entirely sure, and it's not entirely clear what we are doing here. So first of all, I will start by saying that with digital and public humanities, we want to approach traditional subjects in a different way. And the traditional subjects are the subjects that are included in our department, the Department of the Humanities. More specifically, 4 different fields: digital and textual scholarship, digital and public history, digital and public art history, and digital cultural heritage and archaeology. But to give you a better idea of what we do in practice, I will show some of the courses that we offer to the students. For example, those related to the text scholarship. Text encoding. Encoding is the process that makes, for example, an old ancient manuscript machine readable or machine understandable. Digital scholarly edition, when you can visualize the different text, the same text in many different ways, from the translation, the diplomatic edition, the comments, the picture. And this is connected to another module we offer, digital tools and resources for textual data, which is very much connected with digital philology and text visualization, including HDR, the technique that allows you to translate a text from the visual to the written, understandable by a computer. But we also have much on art and art history, such as digital art, digital iconography, which revolves about the technologies in order to transform to digitally transform an artwork, a painting, for example, as you can see in the picture. We also teach public art and digitization practices, which is connected very much to the relationship between the artist and the public sphere through the new media, through the digital technology. Not to mention investigating museum collections about the incredible amount of paintings and artworks that we can find on the net, and how we can find it and how we can make them available. The teacher of this course is at the moment working on the virtual version of the Galleria Borghese in Rome, one of the most important galleries in Italy. Moving to the history field, we are teaching digital history, which revolves around all the different tools that serves to investigate the past in different ways, analyzing the data, finding the data, analyzing the data, making them available visualization and other presentation software, and which is also connected to public history. Public history is not directly related to the digital, but revolves around the involvement of the public in the investigation and the dissemination of the past. And as you can see from this is a resource that has been created by one of our research fellows. Public history may involve many different types of activities, many different types of fields, of domains, from the movies connected to history, the books, novels, graphic novels, television, museums, and much more. We also have the important field of archaeology, where we offer a number of different texts or different courses. Geospatial and landscape archaeology deals with the ancient landscape, to what extent is possible to use digital technology in order to gather information on the spaces, which is also connected to another module, which is digital archaeology, with lots of field trip and hands-on activities. Different is the case of virtual archaeology, which moves from the large dimension of the landscapes to the smaller dimension of the objects. So how can we use virtual reality, for example, in order to analyze small objects taken from the past and gather information that otherwise it would be impossible to obtain, for example, with microtomography. So these are just some example of the course. We have, this is an introductory course where, and the picture is taken by a field trip that I took with my students to the fabulous M9 Museum of the Italian history from the 20th century, that it's very innovative in the way the digital technologies are used to communicate the past to the public. This is a new course, a Laboratory of Computer Vision for Digital Humanities, a new course that we're going to introduce next year for the first time. And then other courses such as XML. XML is the most common markup language. Markup is, once again, the way of tagging a text in order to make it understandable by a machine. Databases are, of course, extremely important for the humanities in many different ways. You may be interested in a database of books, a database of paintings, a database of archival documents. Then we have information visualization, data science, and social media analytics, and last but not least, web and user experience design. The picture that you can see in the slide represents an app that has been created by the teacher of this course, with the collaboration of the students of the course, just to give them an idea of the many activities we perform. This is an app on the stumbling stones of Venice, le pietre d'inciampo. So these are just some possible examples of the modules we offer to the students. It is, of course, impossible to give a full list, but I thought it was important to give you an idea just because our course is pretty unconventional and extremely innovative. Another aspect that I want to stress is that one of the key points of our program is based on the combination of two different souls, two different expertise, because our teachers comes from the Department of the Humanities, that's where I come from, and the Department of Informatics. And the key of success is given by the combination of these two different backgrounds, which is also very well symbolized by the two buildings, the one of the humanities on the left and the one on the informatics on the right. So it's, I think, a very good representation of this combination of tradition on one hand and innovation on the other. What can we do? What can you do after the completion of the program? I'm giving just a very full list as possible. I don't have enough time now to expand on this, but just to give you an idea. You can work in the service sector, in the culture industry and cultural institutes, in specific centers, for example, electronic publishing, in the management, presentation and enhancement of cultural assets, intercultural activities, in the field of language technologies, in the design, production and enhancement of online resources, and digital management of cultural resources. More, broadly speaking, I have tried to indicate 4 possible fields: cultural industry, web publishing, creation of online resources, and the GLAM sector, where GLAM is an acronym that stands for galleries, libraries, archives, and museums. So, of course, a wide range of options, but I think it's impossible to give a full list also because I firmly believe that by the time you finish, there would be available jobs out there, jobs that don't exist yet, because this field is continually changing, continually evolving and moving forward. I also want to underline that this is a truly international community, and this is why I'm talking in English. At the moment, 50%, the half, 50% of our first-year students is not Italian, which doesn't mean we don't want local students. We love to have local students and Italian students, but at the same time, we love the idea of having students coming from different parts of the world, bringing to Venice their own backgrounds, their own expertise, their own language, their own culture, their own experiences. And this is really an amazing melting pot of culture that comes out when we do our assignments, our project works, and we have students talking about their own experience in Kazakhstan or rather in Russia. Also because this is, our master program is an international community within a larger international community, because according to the rankings, the Ca' Foscari is the most international university in the category of the big universities. Last but not least, I want to mention that the program is very much connected to the Venice Center Digital and Public Humanities. Program is in Digital and Public Humanities. The center is exactly the same name. They have been created at the same time thanks to a larger project of excellence. And we offer, I am part of the Venice Center, we offer so many different activities that are all available to our students. Workshops, conferences, internships, exhibitions, summer school, a scholarly journal, And there is a lot of exchange, a lot of interactions, also because we have visiting scholars, visiting professors coming from all over the world and bringing to Venice and to our master's program their own expertise. And also, there's another reason to invite you to go and visit the information desk in the other building at Palazzo Malcanton Marcorà, not only because you will find a student who can, and you can get more information about the master's program in digital and public humanities, but also because the information desk is held within the very PH lab, the laboratory of the Venice Center for Digital and Public Humanities, when we have parts of our equipment and we can get an idea of what we do and who we are. And it is, well, before conclusion, it's also important to stress that our dissertation, tesi di laurea, are not traditional written works, but our project are digital installations. Each one is different from all the others, and so you can realize websites, you can realize the digital animation, archaeological virtual excavation, many different activities, and every dissertation work is different from all the others. So that's the right conclusion for my short presentation, because I'm leaving the floor to Elena Missaggia, who just graduated, who just completed the program in Digital and Public Humanities, and she will talk about her own dissertation. So wonderful work that can give you an idea of how different our own dissertations can be from all the others. I'm done. Thank you very much.
Good morning, everyone. Just a second. Posso avere il telefono? Grazie. So, okay. My name is Elena Missaggia. I just graduated from the Digital and Public History program, and last year I had the opportunity to participate and work on the Women's Lives, Women's Histories project. This was also not only a meaningful endeavor in its own right, but it was also the main topic of my dissertation. In my thesis, I explored and examined the project outcomes and used it as a case study to understand and better give an insight on best practices for creating historical podcasts. More broadly, I investigated and examined how innovative approaches in public history, such as podcasting, of course, can create and wider community outside the academia world. In fact, public history as a discipline, and is one of the courses that the master is about, its aims to bring the public within the academic realm and start discussions and spark curiosity in the general public. Last year, of course, I participated in the Women's Lives, Women's Histories project. It was first launched in 2021 by Professor Francesca Rohr and Alessandra Valentini, and also thanks to the collaboration of the Venice Center for Digital and Public Humanities, which the master degree is part of, basically, and also GEFRA. GEFRA is an international institution which focuses on ancient Roman studies, particularly gender studies. With me, there were also other colleagues from other degree programs, and we were just 4 last year, but this year we have a higher participation, thankfully, and one of them is here, Letizia, which allows us also because there were different degree programs, so digital humanities are a collaborative and heterogeneous discipline, and thanks to this, there are a lot of components in each team that brings their perspective and unique skills to the project. And of course, Matrone did not differ from any kind of digital humanities project. The podcast delves into the stories of exceptional women who achieved success in a male-dominated world that thought to confine them in their houses. The series is presented in 6 episodes in which each matrona advocates for social, cultural issues at their time. So basically we take up 5 female figures in ancient Rome, which in public or political settings reported in ancient sources can express how rhetoric was an important element in Roman society. And as the professors from the Scienze dell'Antichità courses express and stress out, it's very important to use this kind of topics so to also have an understanding and make a reflection and a discussion on today's topics. So now the best part for me. So how we created our podcast. So, our journey began with extensive research and we basically delve into ancient Roman and Greek sources to construct an authentic narrative. The structure of a narration within a historical podcast is very important to take into consideration. While storytelling elements are vital for engaging with audiences, it's very important to also address and add content, historical content to avoid oversimplification of complex concepts. Moreover, it was also important to stress out the sources. For historical podcasts, it's very important to have a clear and transparent communication. So the audience must be aware when sources are talking, and in our cases, and this is a transcription of one of the episodes, you can see how there is alternative voices between the narrator, Livy, which is an ancient author, of course, and also the matrone themselves. So we try to create a dynamic soundscape in which you can also be entertained. Because this is the aim of the project, of course, and to bring the story of this matrone to a wider public. Then, after we discussed and read for hours and hours our episodes, it was time to record them, of course. We, as I said before, we were only 4 colleagues, 4 students, so each of us recorded at least 1 or 2 characters, so or the recording voice, or the narration voices, or the matrone themselves. So for the voices of the ancient authors, of course, we had to ask help outside the team for male voices. Then it was time to edit, of course, the recordings. We use Audacity, which is a free and very useful, simple to use software, which allows to edit voices and also to add music and sounds to the recordings to create, a very dynamic and great atmosphere for the vibes of the podcast. We did not stop to audio production because we thought that, and we recognized the importance of visual elements for engaging with audiences and for listeners, of course. So we use generative artificial intelligence to create our cover artwork for the podcast, and this is the work of one of my colleagues, Valentina Rossi, who is now specializing in artificial intelligence and created these beautiful, I think, and very captivating covers. So it was then time to publish our work, finally. For publishing a podcast, you have first to upload the episodes on a hosting platform. In our case, it was Spreaker. And from it, we could then publish it to the major podcasting platforms, such as Spotify. Then for our final step was to create a section within the JEFRA website to make it visible to the public, not only the episodes of the podcast, but also the transcriptions. So in the website, you can find the transcriptions in Italian and also in English, and the Spanish transcriptions are coming soon, as well as the podcast in Spanish. Maybe in the next few weeks, we will publish it. Thanks to the very good feedback and the support of the university, we are now working on our second season. This year, the participation is much higher. We are talking about acts of violence against women in ancient society, in ancient Roman society. And we also have the collaboration of the Foscarini High School here of Venice for the creation of 3 episodes. And I think that this is the core of public history. It's creating a collaborative practice that can teach and allow to teach others history through different forms of communications and different tools such as our podcast. Here, there is the QR code. If you want to scan it, you can find the link for the podcast first season, so on Spotify and Google Podcasts and other podcasting platforms, and also the links to the JEFRA website, where you can find, as I said before, transcriptions and other elements and other information about our project. So, thank you.